to it. But yeah, this movie opens with that classic 20th Century Fox logo, which we love to see. I'll never stop talking about it. The federal government needs to make Disney sell off 20th Century Fox. It's a travesty that they own Fox. Anyway, matte paintings, models. Oh my God, it's all happening. And Dennis Quaid's narration explains, but late in the 21st century, like basically 20 years from right now, when we're podcasting, the nations of the earth were finally at peace, working together to colonize the distant reaches of space. And then he's like, unfortunately, and we see a dead astronaut float by. He's like, there were other people there too. Yeah. The Dracs. They had squatters' rights on the most primo space real estate. They weren't gonna get away with it without a fight.
Sounds like colonizing to me, baby.
He said they had squatters' rights.
Squatters' rights.
This is ours. Oh, that's okay. Yes, that's the other big thing that I like. The story decision is this is not the Drac planet that they go to. It's basically a neutral site that they both arrive on. Yeah. Yes, they arrive in Switzerland. Mm-hmm. Some Drac ships attack the Earth station, and Dennis Quaid, who plays Will Davidge, and his pals, they get in their own little ships. And they're like, let's go kick some ass.
I'm glad this part is quick. I'm like, no.
It is very quick because Dennis Quaid is like, I got this one. Oh, no, I'm crashing. And the Drac ship that he shoots down, they both crash down onto this planet.
I did not expect such an emotional moment to come immediately. Like the little speech that the best friend gives about, like, make sure no one calls my date the white balloon. She doesn't like that. And he spends his last few seconds being so kind to this for someone else. It's just like, okay, movie.
To the man
where are you going?
And didn't listen.
No, he's gonna get back. What did he say, Will? What did he say? He wasn't making any sense at the end. I don't know.
He would fucking say
They just love calling her the white balloon, though.
Hang on. Lacey, you said he would tell them, but yet when he got rescued later on, he didn't say shit about it.
He had things on his mind,
There's
Coda.
a lot going on. Maybe he did. We just didn't see it. We don't have to see
Get
it.
around to it. Fuck. He's a father now.
But Lacey, you're right. This happened so fast, and I'm glad it's a great hook. Is this a ship that I shot down, and now we are crash landed on this planet.
Right.
It spent no time getting right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His co-pilot Joey dies in a surprisingly emotional scene. Now he's all alone here on this vast, empty planet that looks immaculate.
It does look amazing. He can make time too. He can walk across that thing like nothing. He gets from hill to hill.
He's like the plane crashed over there, not too far, and you're looking at it. You're like, dude, that's like 30 miles. Bro.
That's 30 miles. I'll get there before that second sun sets.
That's no time.
But this is like the opposite of Ridley Scott's The Martian, where it's like we will use the entire GDP of the Earth to rescue a guy from Mars.
Yeah.
Here it's like, hey, he crashed on that planet. All right, well, fuck him. They never come back for him.
That's not true. They come back to collect his body. In fact, that's a whole career is just going to collect bodies. It's part of.
Sure, it takes him a long time.
It's part of space exploration.
He says in the voiceover, he says, I'd never seen a Drac in person. I knew they were completely inhuman. Right. Not even male or female, but both bundled together in a scaly reptilian body. So there is a very long tradition, folks, of sci-fi that deals with gender. You can invent alien species that, like in this movie, are I think what you'd call ambisexual, which is they are both male and female. Mm-hmm. Ursula Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness, the 1969 novel, deals a lot with this, and this movie is in that tradition of making you have to examine your own ideas about gender. It's so interesting when later in the movie, Louis Gossett's character, Jerry, says like, you humans divided your sexes. The more enlightened way is to be both. I don't know. It's interesting. Well, it's not like the humans chose to do that, though.
Hey, you don't know.
I don't know. Maybe somebody did.
He was taught that they did.
We see that furry little turtle thing, the vagina turtle, get sucked into a Sarlacc pit. I mean, it's literally a Sarlacc pit from Return of the Jedi.
I was going to say.
Yeah. But it eats out
I thought the same thing.
Which was only 2 years old at the time. But yeah, it eats that turtle, spits that turtle out, and then burps. Even the Sarlacc pit also burps.
They do, though, imply that that's a Drac. I thought that's what I was saying.
Are we boring you, Lacey?
I
Are we
yawn.
boring you right now?
I don't know how to make it not happen. The more I talk, the more I yawn. Fuck off. And yes, you're boring me.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll see
No,
you later.
we're always on a timer with Lacey. She's like Sonic.
What the fuck did I do?
She's tapping her foot. I'm waiting. Wait, so you thought that the Sarlacc pit was a drac?
Because he says the thing about how they're scaly, and we're supposed to think they're like the most menacing thing ever. So the first thing we see is something scaly pop out of the ground and murder something.
That's true.
He might have done that on purpose because it was right after the narration of it. So maybe that was to give the thought to the audience that this is a drac. This is what they are fearing. And then you meet Jerry.
Well, I think we need to be scared by something that's scaly and out for blood so that we can be friendly and open to this thing that's humanoid-like in its shape, even if it is scaly and weird to look at.
So Will is cautiously surveying. He sees the drac wrecked ship and he's like spying on it with its binoculars. And he says like, I'm glad that drac son of a bitch is still alive so I can kill him myself. He's just programmed. I gotta hate the drac. The drac is my enemy.
He killed his best friend. That just happened.
Well, yes, but it was...
Dennis Quaid killed his best friend. He told him we should just go, and he still went after him. I'm just saying.
You know how it is, though. You got to blame somebody. Even if it's him, he's still got to put his anger someplace.
You were in your vessels. It's war, you know?
Oh, my God.
But he sees the drac is swimming in a pool or whatever. And so he's like, while he's swimming, I'll pour gasoline or something into the water and then shoot it. And he does. He drops his gun and it makes a loud noise. And that's where the drac becomes aware of his presence. And this is our first look at Lou Gossett in the makeup. It looks outstanding. But the weather on this planet is so volatile. It starts pouring rain. And there's a nice little moment where we see both of them just opening their mouths up to drink the rainwater. Mm-hmm. And, then they set the pool on fire and the drac emerges and then captures him and ties him up and they start talking. They start talking to each other.
It does seem that Dennis Quaid knows a little bit of drac. I mean, he knows enough to tell that he is saying his name to him. And then, I don't know, they must be aware of just the most basic words.
I figure it's like the Cold War where like Americans knew basic like, niet.
Right.
Da.
Right. Like he's pulling things out of what Jerry is saying and going, okay.
I'd be the guy that just sits there and talks and like, hey, go outside.
I'd be terrible at this. I don't like the gesture. I don't even like the talk. I just feel like you don't get it. Okay, that's fine.
You would walk away. You'd walk away. Like, I'm going to go survive on my own things. Okay. I don't know how to tell people I need stuff.
See you later.
So yeah, he gets tied up and he's like, you got to feed me something. So the drac gives him this weird looking slug thing and he reluctantly eats it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
But they start like gutturally talking to each other. And for some reason, Will hears his name and decides, I'm going to call you Jerry because it sounds vaguely like what you said. Mm-hmm. What is his real name is Jerry Ba.
Looking at you, Coda.
Jabala? It's something like that. I know it starts with a J.
All right.
Do you think it starts with a Jerry?
You think maybe? They were pretty much just having like one of those like, you know, macho man, like I'm tougher than you. Watch me eat this slug. You want to laugh? I'll eat it. I don't care. I love it.
I love the way that Louis Gossett talks as him before he starts saying words. He does the trilling, which sounds so cool, like so musical and cool and so alien.
And turns out it is singing. It's just that part of their speaking is singing.
Which I always love when I find that out about an alien. Because that is a thing that happens. Is like, oh, that's part of our language is singing. But yeah, later it starts raining meteors. So Dennis Quaid's like, you gotta let me out. So the Jerry does cut him loose, and they go run into a cave together, and then kind of almost cuddle together. Very sweet. Mm-hmm. But then Will wakes up, sees that Jerry is asleep, and sees the knife, and he's like, I could kill him right now, but he decides not to.
Yeah.
And so the next morning he like goes out to the alien ship and he sees these weird like jello things and he starts gorging on them. And then Jerry comes out and he's like, hey, that's my Jello. And he's like, no, don't kill me. You owe me. I saved your life. And so at this point, they start basically working together because they have the meteor showers and they need to build a shelter to protect themselves, even though the perfectly good cave is right there. They don't seem to realize they can go into the cave for another hour or so. And understanding each other proves not that difficult. But Jerry makes Will do all the work. He has to carry all the supplies up into the forest and stuff. That's
kind of fucked up. But is it because he's pregnant? Because it might be because we don't know how long the gestation period is.
Yeah,
he just knows that this human will not take serious. He waits till the right time to explain this because he would have given him shit for it and not appreciated what it really meant.
Do all Dracs die when they give birth, or does something just go wrong for him?
Something went wrong for him.
Yeah, because he even states that something's wrong.
Right. Oh, that's your clue, is when he says something's wrong.
There you go.
That something is wrong.
I mean, isn't that anybody's clue? Hey, man, something's wrong. Okay, something's right. You got it.
Yeah.
He starts building this house, and then he's like, huh? How about that work, huh? Solid. And Jerry's like, shit. He's like, it's not shit. How dare you? And he's like, shit. And then the thing topples right then and there. Okay, so there's a lot of back and forth about you're ugly. No, you're ugly. I'm not ugly. You're ugly. It's funny little banter. I like this thing. I think we mentioned this earlier, where they're talking about trying to get something done. And Dennis Quaid says, like, the old saying is, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And the Drac and Jerry says, you learned this from the great Drac teacher Shizmar. And he says, no, from Mickey Mouse. He's a great Earth teacher. Now, I've realized this is a thing that happens whenever it happens in fiction. I love it. And I like in the real world when it happens, like when you find out that like the story of Cinderella is in both like European fairy tales, but also in Chinese and Japanese fairy tales when there would be it's like they just sort of independently came up, or in Stephen King's The Dark Tower series, which I'm reading right now and takes place in a sort of parallel universe that's not our own. And yet the song Hey Jude exists. And that kind of creeps me out when I think about it.
It should always exist.
Where did it come from?
It just is.
Will goes hunting. He kills a turtle. They eat this turtle. They start talking about how their species are different. And Lacey, do you want to take over it all?
Sorry.
This is just a section of the movie where they're trying to get stuff done, trying to understand each other, and sort of debating the differences between their peoples. The Dracs are more communal. They are just less individualistic. Like lineage is very important to them.
Yes,
because the idea we're part of something much bigger than ourselves. Mm-hmm. They can't really agree on how the war started or who started it, but Jerry keeps talking about the great Shizmar, and Will says, the great Shizmar eats shit. And then he gets really mad at him and he says, well, Mickey Mouse is one stupid dope.
It is interesting. Like everything, I guess, to keep themselves safe, the Drac people do not share their stuff with outsiders. It's like a big honor to bestow on them to tell him about his lineage and stuff. And, so at first I'm thinking, oh, of course, this freaking American Earthling is going to insist that this guy learn English rather than him learning his language. And then I'm like, oh, okay, no, they don't let people in on this. Like, and the fact that he knows Drac is like, it freaks out everyone. Everyone knows it's significant. The Drac people know it's significant. Everyone on the ship know that. And that's because it just doesn't happen. It takes a very special relationship to be let in that much.
Yeah, you literally wear it on your person, the book of secret knowledge.
Well, even just to be able to speak their language, though, right? Like he like gives it. I think he saves his life or does something good, and he's like, "I will repay you by teaching you my language."
Yeah, he saves him from the Sarlacc pit, and this is kind of where their relationship turns around. They become friends. And they realize that these turtle shells, well, we could build our house out of them. So they build a house out of turtle shells. And he starts learning. He asks Drac to teach him the Drac language, and he does. Well, no, first he's like, no, Shizmar is too good for you. Remember what you said about Shizmar? Mm-hmm. And he says, Dennis Quaid says, well, have you forgotten what you said about Mickey Mouse? And Jerry says, like, I'm so sorry. That was wrong. I didn't mean it. I like that this isn't played for laughs. They play it totally sincerely.
They really are equally matched. They just I don't know. I think they go toe for toe very well. You know, with the Earthling playing kind of the dope when he probably should.
Their relationship just felt genuine. Like as it was growing, it felt very genuine and not really like you can feel the chemistry as best friends, like friends growing into, you know, best friends. And I really love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that Dennis Quaid is not like constantly making fun or rolling his eyes. He's just like, he's really into it. He seems in awe of the stuff he's learning. They seem to really respect each other.
I like that. I like when he starts teaching it. You know, they read from the Talmud. There's this quote: "If one receives evil from another, let one not do evil in return. Rather, let him extend love to the enemy, that love might unite them." And Dennis Quaid says, "Yeah, I've heard all this before in the human Talmud." And I think that's so interesting that it's like, yeah, we have these ideas too. It's just we don't really care about them. We don't take them seriously.
Right.
You're not. Yeah, you're not saying anything I've never heard before. It's just that my people don't care about that shit. So that does seem like a pretty significant divide.
And it goes to his point of being divided as a people, because we take a religion, then we take once we don't like something in it, we make our own religion and say it's different, and then we keep dividing until religion and things that are said and are sacred mean fucking nothing. It's all marketing.
It's customized to your specific needs.
So yeah, he's heard these lessons before, but because there's 15 gods dishing this out, no one earthling gives that much shit about it or really feels like it all came from one place. So there's not one thing to. It's not sacred the way it is for the Drac.
That's true, but I mean, even for Christians, the words of Jesus are very basic, like love thy neighbor, decrying people who are rich.
But we have spent so much time ignoring the parts we want to ignore and believing the parts we want to believe that it all feels a bit meaningless. And everything's fair in love and war. It's like, yeah, I'm not supposed to kill my neighbor unless it's a Drac or, whatever. It's just, it all goes out the window. But it seems for the Drac people who it's a big part of them to all believe this same thing, you can see them taking some kind of trite thing like that and be like, no, you're not supposed to do the bad thing because you just did a bad thing. I could just see you taking it much more seriously.
And he says, like, the reason you haven't learned it the way we've learned it is because the words of Shizmar must be sung. And he starts trilling his song, but it's like the message and the language are intertwined, which I've heard people say about Islam and Arabic, that you can't.
Well, that makes sense.
That like, you could only truly understand it if you speak Arabic because they are so one and the same, the message and the way the message is presented. But this is, it's just such a great scene in the movie, my favorite scene in the movie. And all of it is in front of an immaculate matte painting of the sky.
What do you keep calling it? A matte painting?
Yeah, like it means that I myself painted it.
What does it mean?
Matte, M-A-T-T-E. That's the material that they use for movie sets.
Okay. It's just like a stupid thing to say.
Why?
I don't know, you're dumb.
Why? What?
I don't know why, Matt. You just are. Okay, keep going. You just said it multiple times, and it confused me every time, and now I know what it means.
I'm sorry you don't know something.
Just call it a lacy painting. Move it on.
And what about a Coda painting? What the fuck?
No.
I'll alternate. So it starts.
You're right.
It starts meteor showering, and they have to run to their hut for its first real test. But Jerry's not able to run as fast, and Will gets really upset with him. He's like, "Come on, fat ass! Why are you so lazy?"
I was confused as to where this came from. And Jerry just takes it, and it's never addressed until it is. And I'm just like, why is he acting like that? To me, it looked like Jerry got hurt. Not that he's just assuming he's fat and lazy.
Yeah,
like he might have stumped his toe.
And it also shows you that right then and there, as Dennis Quaid's character Will is just yelling at him, calling him a fat ass, calling him lazy, and all this such. It shows that the Drax people, even in that confrontation, they still will not argue back, yell back, or even try to fight. Like they're not a confrontational people. Like it shows you right there. Like he just, like you said, he took it. And of course you find out why shortly after, but it's like, it shows you what kind of, like when shit goes haywire, us humans are the ones that are going to get
hot-headed,
catastrophic and hot-headed and stuff. And these people, they're just
getting
They're just trying to survive.
Right.
They have a physical tussle right here, but it's Dennis Quaid who starts it.
Yes. And Jerry can't fight back physically. He could get hurt. The baby could get hurt, and he's not ready to tell what's going on with him. And, these preconceived notions that Will has been fed, that they're lazy, it echoes. And, that they, he's letting Will do all the work, and I'm sure Will's thinking, typical Drat, but it's like, no, I have my reasons. They're good reasons. You are just such a typical earthling that you're too dense to not to take them seriously right now. So I'm not going to tell you about what's going on with my body, because you could use it against me. And even worse, you could not respect it, and I would have to fucking kill you. Except for I wouldn't, because I'm Drac.
They have another of their debates about who started the war, who wants to conquer the universe, and Jerry says, humans they spread like a disease, because he says, like, in his favor, he's like, we've settled twice as many planets as you. And he's like, yeah, exactly, that's my point. But then after the meteor shower is over, Dennis Quaid says, like, I'm going stir crazy. I have to leave. I have to go explore. And it's like, it kind of proves exactly what he just said. Like, you have to move. You have to spread for whatever reason. You're just your programming. But still, I don't think the movie has a position that, like, it's one side is good and the other is bad. Like, this isn't Starship Troopers, where you realize that the humans are the bad guys. The bad guy is just war itself. So he leaves to go
ideology itself. Mm-hmm. That's the bad guy.
The bad guy is ideology.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Will leaves to go find something. I don't know. Got to find something.
Just wants to see if he's the only one on this planet. Besides the other guy he's been with.
And he finds a Pepsi can, and he's so
I
happy
love that
it.
Pepsi. Yeah. I want that Pepsi can.
It does look delicious.
No, I don't want to drink it. I just want to own it. I want it to be behind me.
I want to drink it.
Okay.
And I hate Pepsi, but if it came in a future can, hell yeah.
So he goes out, and he does find signs of people have been around, and they're people who are part of his culture. So he gets excited because he sees familiar objects, but then he quickly realizes, oh, fuck, this is scavengers. Scavengers are people that we tolerate because they go ahead and kill the Drac for us by enslaving them and using them for their ability to work hard and their athleticism, I'm guessing. But I need to go tell my favorite Drac about this so he doesn't come wandering out here and become enslaved. He's like, fuck, it's safe for me to walk around. I'm a colonizer. I've got the face of the winner. I need to go save my friend who will be fucked.
Yes.
He realizes, I think, in that moment, like, oh, this is not a fair fight.
So he goes back to the hut, and he's like, Jerry's like, hey, what'd you find? And he's like, nothing. Well, but Lacey, he doesn't tell him what he found.
He doesn't tell him, but he goes to protect him.
Okay.
He doesn't want to tell him and scare him. He just wants to be with him so he doesn't go wandering around. But
it is a very nice scene where Jerry's just like, I'm happy you're back. And he's like, I'm happy I'm back too, pal. I'm sure that there is a queer reading of this movie, especially as it gets into the gender stuff. And now when he reveals he is pregnant, he is awaiting a new life. Look, here's my stomach. This is where my baby is. And they both, laugh and kind of celebrate it as if they are a married couple who are about to give birth. But he's also like, there's this pattern to the Drac life. You live your life and then you have a baby, and your life is about your baby and the continuation of the species.
You have a duty. You have a duty to keep go. If you are one that can breed, then you have the baby.
And he is sewing baby clothes for the baby. He's going to name the baby Zamis. But while they're asleep, that Sarlacc monster comes through their floor and strangles Jerry. Is going to eat Jerry, but Will wakes up and saves him in time. And then the hut is basically collapsing. So they have to make it to the cave. They get to the cave. All is good in the cave, but his health is deteriorating. And so Will is like, tell me about your lineage. To like keep him distracted. And he does. And then he explains, like, if I die, I'm going to need you to remember my heritage so that you can teach it to my baby. And then one day present my baby at the Drac Council and recite the baby's lineage.
Right. And this is probably when the whatever went wrong. I think he's just staying alive through sheer will to like let the baby have the best chance at surviving. I think, he starts dying here because he's already passing on the lineage thing.
Mm-hmm. And I love this moment where he asks Dennis Quaid to tell him about his own lineage. And he's like, well, my dad made computers and my mom was a waitress. And then he Jerry recites it back to him, and it's like, son of Dolores, the waitress, and Bert, the computer, Carl, who made computer. But he now makes it sound very like noble and regal, even though it's very ordinary. But it's just kind of beautiful to think of your own life in terms of being part of something much bigger and grander.
It's very smart to do it so that he can understand, just in that moment of like, oh, this is why you're doing it. Yes. I do feel connected to my grandpa all of a sudden when I haven't thought of him in forever.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't even know
I really, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really love that. It felt like, it felt sad at the same time though, because it was like you're seeing Jerry already things aren't looking too good.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he asked that, it was like him being like, now we are connected. Like we're not just best friends. We're like family now, and I really love that scene.
And like Lacey said, that's him making him realize this is why it matters. And maybe if you thought of yourself, as part of a larger thing, you would feel more connected to both the past, but also the future. That you owe something ethically and morally to the people who are going to come after you as well.
And that's why it's very touching at the end when I knew that he would fulfill his promise and make sure that Zoomies got, was connected to his people by reading the lineage in front of whoever. But that they even added Will to their lineage because he had shepherded a Zoomy boy, and he became part of their Earthlings are never going to feel this way about their lineage, but you did your duty and now you are part of ours forever.
Lacey, I'm sorry, you kept saying Zoomies.
Is it Zoomies?
No, it's Zammies.
Zammies?
Zamis.
Yeah.
Zamis. Zoomies.
Not Zamis, yeah.
Zommies.
Zommies. That's it. Zommies. Okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
Zoomies. Like when you first said it, I was like, okay.
You can just tell me. Okay, zombies.
But Zommies is coming. Here he comes. And Jerry's like, something's wrong. Will says, no, nothing's wrong. All women get nervous when they go into labor, or pregnant people. It's like, hey, pregnant people.
Hey.
Interesting. Basically says at this point, like, listen, I'm dying. You're going to have to take care of this baby. Write this down. Go to the Drac Council. Recite lineage. Here's the lineage. Are you listening?
He had already taught him the lineage. He's smart. He had been dying this whole time, and he's like, I'm literally about to die. This baby is cooked enough. Take it out of the oven. Bye.
But Will is devastated because he's like, but I can't be alone. And he says, well, you are only alone within yourself. All humans are. It's just the way that you think about yourselves. And certainly I think about myself that way. And I know that we're all happier when we're together. The more we get together, the happier we'll be, you might say.
I guess you have to be a sarcastic asshole about that.
No, I know. I can't even say it.
A human.
Yes, I know. No, I know. The thing we actually require to be happy is to be deeply connected to each other. And yet the antibodies in my system resist that. I'm like, I want to be by myself. Leave me alone.
You're just real Sigma.
Yes, I'm very Sigma. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he dies. And, I like that. I like that Dennis Quaid's like, no, you're going to be fine. Just keep pushing or whatever you got to do.
Right.
Whatever you got to do.
He really gives him no instructions about this baby, though. He's just like, here, get the baby out of here. That's all.
I don't know. I think Jerry's really smart in how he understood Will right away. He knew Will could not handle knowing that he was dying this whole time, or Will would not have been paying attention. Will would have been trying to get him like healthy, or like trying to figure out how they can get off the planet. He would have been completely distracted. What he needed to be focused on is learning this stuff about Zamis and my culture, because you need to pass this down. You need to focus. I already know I'm dying and you're going to be his dad. But if he would have told Jerry that, Jerry wouldn't have, it's not in him. He would have found a way to make it about something else.
That is a great point. And I feel like right now on the planet with climate change as this inevitable threat, people have the Dennis Quaid reaction of like, no, we'll build an ark or something. We'll go live on Mars. We'll terraform Pluto. I don't know. Rather than, what are we going to do to make this better for the people who come long after we're dead? But nobody can think in terms like that.
Well, also, we're spending our time building these things and thinking of these things, and we're not spending any time together. What Jerry was able to do is make Will just totally focus on him, and Jerry focused on Will. And like they built this bond that made it to where he was a great caretaker for zombies.
Starting with getting him out of that womb. He just rips it open and pulls
Like
out
a
this
crab.
baby. Now, when this happened, I had no idea this was coming. I was legitimately stunned at what the movie was now turning into.
Okay.
Because I assumed this was going to be their enemies, now they're friends, and now, the human army's back, and he has
Right.
to make a choice. That's what I assumed was going to happen. And in a way, it kind of does, but I just assumed, like, this movie's all about the relationship between these two men, not also a baby.
Right.
But this little baby puppet comes out and coos, and Dennis Quaid is grossed out, but also falls in love with it.
I don't think he's grossed out. I think he's
little
ever
bit.
grossed out. No.
A little bit. He goes, ew.
I was.
But the baby squeezes his fingers, just like human babies do. Aww. Did you guys notice that when the score gets really sentimental, the sting sounds a lot like a whole new world?
No.
All right.
Okay.
No.
But again, he was not given any instruction on what to do with the baby. What do you feed the baby? How often does the baby sleep? He just tries to, here, try to eat this, okay? No, okay. But it seemed to be working out.
Because he figured out he needs to chew it for the baby. Like, oh, babies can't chew so good.
Yeah, okay. The movie is now hauling ass at this point, which I think is a little bit to its detriment.
How long did you want this movie to be?
Well, that's you gotta. I'm not the screenwriter. You got to figure out your pacing, man. I don't get paid to do that. We get a few scenes of him struggling with the baby, but then they get past that, and he's like, "Now I'm just happy with my child."
I like that.
Yes, I like that too. The kid grows really fast. Is first played by a puppet, but is now played by an actor. And the child Zamis calls Dennis Quaid uncle, and he like comments on like, "Hey, we don't have the same number of fingers. What's up with that?" And Will has to tell him, well, like, I'm a human and you're a drac. And the kid can't even comprehend this.
Yeah, because he doesn't have a mirror. You know, I mean, he just sees his
reflection in water.
Well, right. But that's when he goes to look for it.
Yeah.
He just sees Uncle's face.
Well, but even if you look different, you're like, well, as far as I know, there's people and there's only two people in you and me. And the only thing that matters is that we're people. And this is certainly like race is, everybody knows race is a social construction. If you removed, sort of outside, if you removed externalities, this is how kids would think about each other. So it is a little bit of a glimpse at the sort of utopian idea that we could all just learn to love each other and see what we have in common absent outside forces. But then the scavengers arrived. A spacecraft arrives, and when Will sees that it's the scavengers,
pirates.
He goes and tells Zombies, he's like, okay, stay the fuck away from there. If you're ever moving in that direction, immediately stop and turn around. The kid's like, okay, I understand. Not really.
Well, because as soon as he says your father or your parent was my friend, that's when Zombies is like, oh, okay. So humans and Drax can be friends. I'll just go do that. That's why he leaves.
Okay, I mean, that makes sense. The movie doesn't make that it doesn't really make it clear why Zamis then runs off by himself to go.
Well, because you're not an adopted child who's never seen your own.
Exactly. Come on, Matt. It was
reflected.
like, it was explained. He was curious about his race and the humans. And he's like, oh, they're working together. Wait, they're not working together.
Right.
No, so I know, but I think a more full screenplay would be like he'd have the scene where he understands this is the rule, and then he has to get tempted, or he has to see like another scene of contrast with him and Dennis Quaid. Now it's like I really just need to go look at my own people. Instead, it just happens right away, and it's fine. But Dennis Quaid's like, look, you can't go be with humans. One day you're going to be off this planet. You're going to be back with your own people and you're going to forget all about me. And he's like, I won't forget you, uncle. And he's like, oh, okay, I guess not. I won't forget you either then.
No, I guess not.
Guess not.
So Zamis, goes to the human camp. There's some pirate bastards see him.
Fuck with him.
And he sees that they have enslaved Drax, other Drax. This is the first time he sees Drax at all. At first he's like, and then realizes they are enslaved, and he cries. Then these pirate assholes see him. They start taunting him. He tries to run away, but he can't. Dennis Quaid arrives, shoots one of them dead, but then they shoot him and leave him for dead.
And I'm terrified of what they're going to do with Zamis, because they already thought he looked like he was a little too pampered, and then he scratches them, and I'm just like, this kid is fucked. I don't even care if you get him back. He's traumatized. He is fucked. The movie doesn't deal with that so much, but whatever. He looks dead to me. I did like this.
Quaid looks pampered right here too.
Oh yeah. But the way that this is so interesting. I haven't watched enough sci-fi to see if this is an idea that's ever been used before, but you just see this wreath and floating in space and this body bag, and you're like, oh, okay, that's a nice little ceremony. And then you realize it's a Disney ride of like, it's just this recording that a conveyor belt with a body comes on. They read what religion that the person is. They just hit a button, pump out a wreath, say a recorded thing, throw the body out into space.
They'll see which
loads another wreath like a shotgun.
Yeah, and a body like a fucking
yeah. They see what religion you are, so they're like, okay, Lutheran, all right, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, blah, blah, blah.
They're not saying it.
No, I know. It's just funny that they note that. Mm-hmm. I think one of them is like agnostic. It's like, oh, okay, even better.
And they don't even give him a wreath. Like, well, fuck him. What the hell? His makes the most sense.
No, this is a great, like, this movie has little great sci-fi ideas that it just kind of has in there for texture that it doesn't really want to explore. And that's why maybe this would be fertile ground for a series or a sequel or a remake or whatever.
Yeah.
But they think he's dead for whatever reason. They don't check his pulse or anything. And then he jumps up and he's like, I'm alive. And they're like, oh my God. They haul him off to do medical tests on him.
Well, because he's speaking Drac, which just isn't a thing.
Yes. And that, I wish the movie had made a bigger deal of this. Like I was expecting the moment when they talk to him and he is only speaking Drac, and we realize everything we've seen from him so far with the kid has been him speaking Drac. It's just translated for us. And maybe he doesn't even remember how to speak English, but no.
This movie doesn't have any time for that, Matt.
There's no time for anything.
No time.
Okay, Matt, you're onto something right there. That would actually been really cool. Like, and maybe they like done some interrogation, be like, "Who do you work for?"
But he ends up on his own ship, so it's like, "Oh, us. Okay, you work for us." You know, and even the people who were in the other ships when he went down, they're just there. They're right there. They come and see him. Like, yeah, that's him.
They're magically on the same space station.
There's just the one space station. It's just that the other ships leave it and come to it. Right? It's like It's the main ship.
Yeah, and maybe this army only has like 30 people. It's like the private school I went to. The 6th grade class was 16 kids.
Will this never not come up on an episode?
It's very important to me.
Private school.
This is the part where I really think the movie is throwing too many elements at us, because first the higher ups are like, he's a defector to the goddamn Drax, and then his friends are like,
no, not.
Will, you gotta be, come on, man. He's like, I'm getting out of here, goddamn it. Let me have a spaceship. So he just hijacks a spaceship and he's back down on the planet. We've been out on this space station in less than 80 seconds, and he's back down with a new haircut. It really feels like we're in reshoots now. And
not one time did he say not call her the white balloon. Not one time.
No, he didn't.
You don't know. It could have happened off camera.
He sneaks over
should be
to
a deleted scene.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch the deleted scenes. Well, let's just assume that it's Schrodinger's cat, you know? We won't know. It's in like a super state.
Yeah.
He did not tell them not to call her the white balloon. So he sneaks down to the Lacey. I swear to God.
I will blow this house down.
She wants to know about the white balloon.
No, I do not.
She absolutely does not. She doesn't want to know anything more about anything except what's for lunch. Mm-hmm. He sneaks down to the mining station and breaks into the facility. He gets into a scuffle with one of the jailers, kills him, and now the Drax slaves see it and they're like, oh, he's a good guy. Yay, we like you.
Your uncle.
One of them speaks English and he's like, I know you, your uncle. Aw.
I'm so sweet.
Hey, your boy is in there somewhere. Go look for him.
Yeah, go look for him in the scariest fucking way to keep a thing in a cage. That the things that we keep in these floor cages, they die often. We don't remove their carcasses. Maybe your boy's dead. Maybe it's so fucked up. That's why, like, he's so like not being fed. He's so abused. He's like dormant. He's alive, but he's not even like coherent. It's fucked me up. I was not okay with seeing his little body flung around, and I can't.
I mean, you gotta also imagine the heat that's probably going on right there too. I mean, he's in the floorboard and he got all these fires and such.
Yeah, but he's cold watered.
Hey, you don't know that.
He's cold watered.
He's cold watered.
He's cold-blooded.
Cold-blooded.
He actually likes it. But Dennis Quaid like goes incognito and dresses up like Indiana Jones, and he's literally going to liberate kids from a mining slave camp. So it is literally just doing Temple of Doom right now.
This is better.
which had only been out a year or so.
This is better.
He finds Zamas in the cage, but Zamas is catatonic, like Lacey says. And then that guy who captured Zamas shows up and he's like, hey, bub, you killed my brother. I'm going to kill you now. And then at this time, the slaves like start a rebellion while the army shows up at the same time.
Well,
and they're about to go like do something to the Dracs, but the Dracs are like, no, wait. And this is all going on at the same time.
I like
it's
it.
just a mess.
War is chaos.
Okay. You're right.
And the Dracs had never seen a human stand up. They'd only ever seen people
to them,
right? Especially a man in that outfit, a man with that branch of the military. Those people love that we're slaves. This man is serious, and we've heard of him. His name is Uncle. He's a good human. This is our only fucking chance. This is never going to happen again. Let's help that guy.
That makes sense to me. It's the military then coming down. It's like, what is?
Those are his friends. It's not the military. It's just his friends. His friends just took another ship.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's just go see Will.
They all went AWOL.
Like, Will, come on. Yeah.
I mean,
we won't call it a white balloon.
Yeah. What if maybe it's White Balloon that led that charge? It was like, he stood up for me.
Oh my God.
I'm going to float down there. My balloon self.
I'll float there. I'm a balloon.
We did it. We solved
they all held on to her and came down.
Yes. And so finally, I mean, this is really all about just seeing Will and Zamas reunite, which they do. Zamas wakes up and he's like, Uncle, you look like shit. And he's like, you're ugly too, my boy. And then the most generic sounding narrator. Look, it's always jarring when narration suddenly happens in a movie. It's even more jarring when there has been a narrator, but now a different narrator takes over. And he's like,
okay, I'm glad that didn't throw me off. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
So he's like, so anyway, Will took Zamas to the Drac planet where they recited the lineage. And one day, little Zamas had his own pup, and they added Will Davidge to the lineage. Goodbye, everybody.
Do you think his last name is Davidge because it rhymes with savage?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
You know what his you know how some people have two last names? You have like last name and then last name. Do you know what his second last name is?
Fred
Garden.
Oh, I went Fred Savage. You went Savage Garden. Hey, whatever.
And yeah, again, this scene, you are not seeing the actors. You are just seeing probably not even extras. They are just
Matt, what would you say this is?
Well, it's a matte painting. It's a Coda painting. Guys, I mean, don't you want to see Dennis Quaid present the kid to the Drac Council?
I'm over it by this point. I just needed the kid to be okay.
Isn't that the emotional payoff you want?
No, we can't have two. The emotional payoff was that he got him back in his arms. I was like so bargaining with my God at this point. I'm like, I just need him to hug him. If it's okay if he dies, as long as he knows that Uncle came back to try to save him.
All right. Well, I'd like to hear from Wolfgang Petersen's dead. We're going to have to do a seance to say, hey,
that's fine.
What the hell happened here? Did the studio make you do this? Because this really seems like they only had two things to work with. They had a painting and they had a guy.
They couldn't afford Dennis Quaid to record two more lines real quick.
Yeah, it's weird.
Somebody else real fast.
Exactly.
They made him wait for 6 months doing fucking nothing. You have to strike while the Quaid is hot. He probably had to go make another movie before people forgot about him.
No, but this is, the Simpsons episode where the kids get stranded on the island and they learn to work together on the island, kind of like Jerry and Will in this movie. Now, the climax of that episode is they've learned to work together. They're all going to end in harmony. And then James Earl Jones appears as a narrator. He's not been narrating this episode. He's like, so the children learned to work together. And they were eventually rescued by, let's say, Mo. And that's the end of the episode. That's the end of this movie.
If it worked for The Simpsons,
maybe that was what Simpsons was mocking. Maybe they were mocking this ending of this movie.
Probably.
It would make sense. I mean, you go from Dennis Quaid narration to who I don't even know who narrated that. It would have been funny. If
it's whoever painted this matte painting. It's Bob Ross.
It was Matt. Mm-hmm. It's Bob Ross, but there is a lot of happy trees.
There are.
There's a list we could make: movies that switch narrators abruptly. Not like in the Goodfellas sense. I mean, I can only think of one other.
Who's going to read this list?
Me.
Okay.
I can only think of one other, and it's Seabiscuit, where there's like an omnipresent narrator. like horses and cars from time immemorial. Man wants a vehicle, but then at the very end, when the horse wins the race, Tobey Maguire starts narrating. You're like, where did he come from? Anyway,
they had an extra few bucks left over, so they decided to have him narrate the end.
Got to put the money somewhere. It's like a weapon. Got to nuke something.
Got to load it up. Oh man.